Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Classroom TV. Today I will take you through a wonderful journey, a momentous time in the course of world history and politics. It is a major which had a major effect on the world politics and dynamics and economics. Before going into the lesson, I want you to understand a little bit of geography. I take the help of Google Earth to explain about the continents and the sea routes, and I have extensively depended on the Google Maps to explain various aspects in this lesson what we are going to discuss now. So before that, I would like to take you through the Google Earth application, and it's such a wonderful app. I wish all of you download in your laptop or mobile or computer and go through the various applications to understand the geography of the all the countries. So I'll take you through a walk through this Google Earth to enable you to appreciate and understand the continents, routes, everything. My intention is that even the man who has never seen a map or atlas should be able to understand the subject. Now, the focus now is on India. Always we tell the directions or to which direction the particular continent is with reference to our country, India. Now, this side is what we call the western side, this is eastern side, and northern side and the southern side. You can see the map of India highlighted. Okay. This you think you understand. Now, when we pan it or zoom it further, here is eastern side is Bay of Bengal, and this is Arabian Sea. This is the continent of Africa, this is Saudi Arabia, and this is the continent of China. So, and here you have your Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Persia, Turkey, and all these landlocked, connected through land. So, in the olden days, the travel from India or China was through the land routes. Go here, 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 and reach all over. Because they were all connected through land. Now, let us again rotate the earth a little bit and understand. So, now we understood that between India and Africa we have Arabian Sea here. Of course, the Arabian smaller ones let us ignore presently. Now, when you rotate the earth, here what do you have? Here you have the continent of Africa, and this portion is Europe. Europe and Africa are separated by Mediterranean Sea. Let us zoom it. Can you see the Mediterranean Sea? This is the Mediterranean Sea, and here there is a small contact, and the gaps are not that much, so they could easily be travelled with the help of small boats or ships. Now, between Africa and between India and Africa we have Arabian Sea, and between Africa and America both North and South America, we have, this is what we call the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean separates these two continents. Let us again zoom it. So, North Atlantic Ocean. Here we have North Atlantic Ocean. And this is the South America and the North America and Canada, and South America, your West Indies. Remember these areas, just remember is for easy understanding. Then when you turn the globe still further, this is what the Pacific Ocean. Pacific Ocean separates America and Asia. Let us again zoom it. North Pacific Ocean. So what do you get? What separates the Pacific Ocean is America, and here you have your, again we are back to our Asia. Here is our Japan. This is Japan, and then again China. Japan, and then China and India. So we have rotated the globe 360 degrees, and then again we have come back to India. We have gone in a clockwise direction around the globe. Then if you go in the anti-clockwise direction, India, China, Japan, here of course you have Australia, New Zealand down. This is Japan. If you want to see the name Japan, let us zoom it. Japan, Tokyo. Okay. So Japan, and then rotate again in the anti-clockwise direction. We are coming to South America and North America, and separating again we have Atlantic Ocean. Again we are back to Africa, and then again finally back to India. So there were land routes, they were being used. Suffice to understand this much, it will be helpful for us to go to our lesson now. So all this what we discussed previous about the Google Earth application is of importance. Now we are discussing the 9th class syllabus, social studies. The name of the chapter is Colonialism in Latin America, Asia and Africa. A very important lesson. Now let us understand what colonialism means. The action or process of settling among and establishing control over the indigenous people of an area is called colonization. Supposing you go and occupy somebody else, drive them away, settle there, what are you doing? You are imposing yourselves in that particular area. The colonizing it is what is called colonization. The action of appropriating a place or domain for one's own use. What did we discuss earlier? You drive away and then you occupy that land and then use it. It's called colonization. Eventually formed a large majority of the population after killing or driving away the indigenous. Indigenous means the native people there. Indigenous. Native people. Eventually means finally. Appropriating, adjusting or taking care of, or what you call subjugating. These things mean the same. If you look into this picture, these people who have murdered or killed the natives and appropriating this area is what we call your colonization. So in the previous slide we discussed what colonization means and how the people were driven away and then occupied by somebody else. That's what we call colonization. To colonize something, you need to know what is there. Now sitting in your home, you do not know what's there in the neighboring place, neighboring village, neighboring town, neighboring country or anything neighboring. So you need to know how to travel, how to go around. So in those days, people depended, especially the Europeans depended on this, the Genoese map of 1457, which was drawn by an Italian traveler who belonged to a wealthy mercantile family called Niccolo di Conti. This was the map the people of Europe relied to travel around and wherever possible colonize. Not colonize immediately, colonization came out of greed at a later time. This map was rather used for traveling for the purpose of trading. Now if we look at this map, the travel in those days was mostly on the road, on the land. We saw in the Google Earth, because they are all connected through land, it was easy to travel. Easy means not so easy, but because they are all connected through land, they were able to travel pretty comfortably. And traders traveled to different countries or continents to buy exotic goods and made huge profits. What is exotic? Something that is not available locally, something new, something interesting is definitely exotic. We also have the craze for some foreign perfume, exotic perfume we say. Something which is out of the ordinary is what we call it, exotic. And these exotic goods were purchased at a very low price, brought back to the native country and then sold at a very huge profit. Why traders, even now, we see the cases where the farmers sell a produce of vegetables or whatever it is. Say for example, the tomatoes are maybe when you buy from the farmer, it's at a 2 rupees per kg, and by the time it comes to the end user, it will be some 12 rupees per kg. Changing hands and a huge profit. The same thing was there even in those days. What were the exotic things that these people were brought from the Asia? The Europeans bought these things from Asia. Carpets, camels also they bought, porcelain, bone china, silks and spices and perfumes. And the profit what they made was so huge that they became richer than the kings. So what did they buy? From China they bought silk and porcelain, and from India steel, spices and cotton textiles. Spices, we know these: red chilies, pepper, cardamom, clove, turmeric, all the spices they bought from India. And from Arabia they bought perfumes and dry fruits. And from Europe wine was traded. So let us say for example, these people used to travel from China, go to Europe, sell their wares, and then in the return journey they used to buy wine from Europe and sell on the way back in their countries or on the way back wherever it was possible. And in those days, since cash was not accepted, now we have dollars or some international accepted currencies like euro, rupees, different currencies we have accepted. In those days, what was the currency? Only gold and silver were the main currency. And of course, travel in 15th century was only on horses, small boats and ships along the coasts. So these people, for traders, if it is not suitable to travel by road or on land, they used to travel along the coast, not to go very high into the deep seas, and they were doing the trading. So Indian traders and sailors from Gujarat, Konkan, Malabar and Coromandel coast traded far and wide. Now if you look here, Indian traders and sailors from Gujarat, Konkan region, Malabar region and Coromandel region, is Coromandel somewhere here in this area. they traded far and wide. So, because of the western coast, and this we saw in the Arabian, crossing Arabian Sea and going towards Africa, is all these route maps. Traders far and wide. Traded with China, they went, you see, they went up to China, Southeast Asia, here this side, Red Sea ports here, and then also Eastern Africa, eastern side of Africa. So, all these sea routes were travelled by the traders and sailors from the western coast and including Coromandel coast. And one important thing what they used was, they used monsoon winds to cross Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. What is this monsoon winds? Now let us say you are cycling, if you come across a slope, you don't pedal, you go comfortably. Similarly, when you are, let us say you are climbing, you are riding your cycle uphill, what happens? You will be a bit tired. But if somebody pushes you up from behind, you feel very comfortable and relaxed to climb that particular hill. So here, this was the thing. Now, you see these arrows. The white ones are called northeast monsoons, northeast monsoon winds. The white ones, the arrows. Now, the traders used to travel in this season when the winds help them to travel towards Africa or anywhere. These winds, it's easy to row the boat, and it will take a lot of time, finish off their, because the travel was not so quick as now what we have, it was take months. So they used to go in one monsoon season, and then now you see this southwest monsoon, these brown arrows, this they used to return so that the shipping becomes easy and comfortable. The usage of the monsoon winds for travel was mentioned even in Rig Veda. Now, most of the trade routes that connected Europe and Asia around 1400 were controlled by Muslim kingdoms, especially the Ottoman Empire, and constantly at war with European Christian powers. Now, if you look at this map, most of the trade routes, now remember again, recall the first slide wherein the travel was from, we showed that from the landed from India and China towards Europe. So they had to come from this side. Now this yellow thing is what was controlled by the Ottoman kings. Ottoman means now present day Turkey. This kingdom was very large, and the remaining portions were Christian majority kingdoms, and this was Muslim majority kings. Now supposing you have to travel from this particular area towards India or Asia, you have to cross through these Muslim controlled kings. These are enemy countries, though if not enemy, at least resistant. It was not easy, either you have to pay huge amounts of money to cross these kingdoms and go towards Asia and India to get all the spices or whatever the exotic goods were. Here in this case, only Italy. Italy had good relationship with Arab traders who bought goods to Alexandria and sold to them. Alexandria. This is Italy. Italy, remember, it is a leg-shaped country, and Alexandria is here. Italians had a good relationship with Arab traders because this is all Arab and Muslims. They were comfortable, and because these people had good working relationship with them, they used to go to Alexandria, purchase the exotic goods, and again come back. So Italy had formal, decent relations, whereas the other countries were not on good terms with them. Then what happens? To put it simply, let us say Europe is like this, and this is what the Turkish Ottoman kings. How do I go? I can't go. I have to search for an alternate route to go to this place. This was the situation in those days. So they wanted to find a faster and easier routes to countries like India and China, bypassing Ottomans and Italians. So the Portuguese wanted to find a route around Africa to reach India. Now here we have Portugal. And this is Spain. And of course, remember, this is Italy, the leg-shaped country, easy to remember. So from here you have to go through these countries, means it was all occupied by Ottomans, difficult. Then this Portuguese, what they wanted to do, route around Africa. So they planned their route like this, bypassing and come to. This was the plan they had. Again, thanks to Google Earth. And so what did they do? How did they invested huge amounts of money by hiring means employing experienced sea mariners and giving them ships and other resources to explore new routes. Sea mariners means who are used to travel, who can read compass, the maps, directions, wind flows, all these things. If you are thorough, then they are called as sea mariners. And then the Spanish tried to reach India crossing the Atlantic Ocean, whereas Portugal wanted to come this way, and Spain, what did it do? This is Spain. They now remember the first explanation what I made, the gap between Africa and America, this is Atlantic Ocean. So they wanted to take a roundabout route and come in this direction to reach Asia and India, Asia and China, whatever the countries the target was. Portugal took the one route, they were investing money on this route, whereas Spain opted for this route. Spain and Portugal are neighboring countries. So they were planning now if you look in the map format, this is Portugal and Spain. So Portugal took this route and come to India, whereas Spain, it wanted to go round about this way and come here, the circuitous route. This was the way how to bypass Ottomans to avoid that. Now what happened, here again comes our Spain. We discussed that they were planning through Atlantic Ocean, and actually their idea was to go like this on this route. But when the Christopher Columbus team, they went and they got, without unknowingly, they came and landed in this area. They drifted in the sea and reached this. And Christopher Columbus in 1492. This is what we call Central America. This is North America and this is South America. Columbus was working for the Spanish Queen Isabella. So he was Columbus. His idea when he set sail, was to reach India, because they didn't know about a landmass or a continent called America in those days. His intention was to reach India or Asia, but he landed in Central America. This man, Christopher Columbus, was working for Queen Isabella of Spain. This is how it was an accidental discovery of America. And so this is what this man Columbus was from here, Spain. And Vasco da Gama, what he did, bypassing, his efforts were successful, and from here he came to Cape of Good Hope, and from there he came to India. In 1498, he was working for Portuguese King Manuel I. He was the Portuguese king when Vasco da Gama undertook this journey from Portugal. Remember again, Portugal and Spain are neighboring countries. Then what happened? On 12th of October 1492, Christopher Columbus landed on an island in Bahamas. Here. From Spain, crossing Atlantic Ocean, he landed here. The first voyage was in 1492. And then what did he do when he came? He came with, they had guns because they were a bit advanced. Swords and then the piece, everything, they were very, what you call, cunning. And this situation or this momentous travel, the future of 4 continents was changed forever. What were the 4 continents? Europe, Africa, South America and North America. The future was changed by this single journey. Christopher Columbus landed on West Indies, the islands off the coast of South America. Thought he had reached India and called the local people Indians. These were simple tribal people who welcomed the visitors and gave them food and shelter. See, look at this picture. When they came with this cross, spreading their Christianity, religion, and all this, they were simple people. There was no resistance. They just welcomed them happily and gave them food and shelter. Cunning Spaniards enslaved, plundered and killed them. These people were cunning. What did they do? They enslaved, made them slaves, plunder, loot them, and if they felt they were useless, they killed them. Then Spanish government sent several expeditions to conquer America. Once they came to know that the land was there and there the people were innocent and they were not so technically advanced or technologically advanced, they were still, if you look at these people, they were still having these only bows and arrows and other spears, not the guns and other things what the Spaniards had. It was easy to subdue them. Cunning Spaniards. Spaniards means the people of Spain are called Spaniards. And when they knew, they wanted to mine gold and silver with the help of local kings. Okay, these people, though they were a bit backward, they had their own kings, but they were a bit innocent. And in this course, there was one conqueror called Cortes. A Spanish conqueror led an expedition to kill the people and plunder Mexico. Aztec kingdom was looted. This Cortes, very ruthless. And the gold, what he looted, what they did, they looted this Aztec kingdom. And whatever gold jewelry, what they melted them. And they were carrying it back to Spain. In the meantime, what happened? There was a resistance. The local leaders, the local kingdoms, though the tribal kings, whoever were there, they resisted. There was a big fight. So this man was escaping. And in the course of escaping, they, whatever jewelry, whatever gold was mined, it was in the form of bars. And this particular bar of almost 2 kg gold was left behind in the war. And recently, while digging in this park, renovation, they came out in 1981. This gold bar was found, and with the help of X-ray machine, the age was determined as more than 500 years. X-ray machine detected, they found out the age of this gold bar, which was melted by this man, means his team. Imagine. And we have one more man, Pizarro, plundered and conquered Peru. This is what Peru, those of you who have these scenes, Peru, they are quite popular in films. These exotic animals, you can call them as exotic animals. This man again, the greed, the passion for gold, the passion for power, made them plunder innocent kings. Then what happened after the initial motto was to take gold and mine and go back. Then what happened? Colonization. After subduing the local people, they wanted to. Then when Spain could do all these things from these people, the English also came to North America and began to set up colonies of English farmers along the eastern coast. Now when Spain could come and do this thing, the English were not left behind, the people of England. They too again, so these people from Spain, they came to the Central America and Southern America. The Britishers went up to North America. And then along the eastern coast, now for America, this is the east coast. So on the eastern, because it was easy to land from Britain or from Europe, for them it is towards western travel, and for them this is eastern. So they landed on the east coast. The English also came to North America and began to set up colonies of English farmers along the eastern coast. Then for them it was a new world, colonization of the new world. That's something new. The arrival of other Europeans thereafter led to a massive demographic and social changes on both sides of the Atlantic. Atlantic Ocean was separating both America and the European nations. One after other, there were many countries they came, and you see, if you look at this map, every country had its own stamp. They were dominating. Say for example, Portuguese were dominating the grey colored area, and Spain also was doing somewhere there, and France was doing this blue. This area was down by France, and then Dutch was in this area. UK was here somewhere. Argentina was here, and then Colombia. All these places, all these different colors show the domination of the different countries of Europe. And what were the motivating factors for them? Gold and glory, the two G's, gold and glory. Glory of having controlled or won over a kingdom, the power, the feeling of power, and gold. And this resulted in transatlantic exchange of people, food, diseases, trade, ideas, etc. between Western Hemisphere, Africa and Europe. Again, if you remember the recall map, so the travel. Native Americans mostly acted in friendship and extended help and cooperation to the Europeans. They were innocent people. When they came to dominate, they were not bothered. And in England, this was the time when the small peasants were being deprived of their land by landlords. Many of these peasants migrated to North America and wished to settle down there. So in those days only, the rich landlords in Britain were depriving the small peasants of their land. Now what happens is, when a small landholding of 1 acre or 2 acres is there and you want to cultivate, the produce is not that much, and investment also is a problem. What do? You go and borrow money from some landlord or money lender, and because of the vagaries of nature, you don't generate proper yield. And what happens? Because of the debt that is on their heads, the landlords, the big landlords or the money lenders seize the property and throw them out. Such people, they felt that since there is nothing much in Britain for them to live upon, they wished to travel to the new world, where they felt, yeah, land is available freely, let us go there. This also acted in their favor. So these peasants who were deprived of the land in British kingdoms or other kingdoms, they traveled to east coast of America and forced the Native Americans to give up their land, killed and drove them into interior. They landed east coast, dominated over the local people there, who in their fear, they went into interiors. And news of the natural resources reached the Europeans. In large number of land hungry people started going there. Suppose when something is coming free, everybody rushes. This was the cookie. This was the cookie of America. And these ants were Europeans. Freely available. All the ants started rushing. So these Europeans went there and started dominating over the people. After killing and plundering sufficiently, Europeans wanted to settle and exploit the natural resources. Their hunger was satisfied. They occupied large tracts of land, killed the people, subdued them. Then they wanted to settle them, colonize, new world. They wanted to settle there and exploit the resources. And it was difficult to enslave the Native Americans. Native Americans, though they were simple, they were a bit rebellious. They were not listening, though they were scared of their guns and other violent means, but they were not so obedient. And the Europeans found it difficult to use them to do cultivation or mine or do all sorts of activities. Then what did they do? Transported about 15 to 20 million African slaves. 1 million we know is equal to 10 lakhs. So 15 millions is equal to 1.42, what did they say? 20 million. So 2 crore slaves were transported. 1.5 to 2 crore African slaves were transported. And who were the major culprits? Africans were captured from the interiors by European, especially Portuguese. Portuguese. Now remember again the first one, the map, I will just show you again, very close distance from Portugal to Northern America. Were transported to America under very inhuman conditions and sold to landlords and made to work in fields and mines. This was the shift, this was the way. They were just packed like animals. They purchased, captured in jungles of Africa, the Africans, and transported to in these large boats where you can see all the hands tied and made to lie down with very little space to move about. This is a depiction of how cruel and inhuman these Portuguese and Europeans were. So imagine 2 crore people, let us say, imagine 2 crore Africans in 15th century or 16th century, and after 5 centuries later, imagine their population. That's why they are a sizable chunk in America now. Between 1500 to 1800, most of Central and Southern America came under the control of Spain and Portugal. So, the North America was one and South America was one, and this was Central America. Central and this area came under the control of Spain and Portugal, because remember Columbus landed in Central America, West Indies. So because they were more used to the Southern America, and because after many centuries of their languages, Spanish and Portuguese languages are offshoots of Latin from Italian language. These countries are called Latin American countries. Because these Portuguese and Spanish languages were spoken in this South America, these countries were called Latin American countries. Nahuatl was the major language spoken then by Aztecs. The major language spoken in the South America then was Nahuatl. Nahuatl was the major language in those days, but was slowly dominated by these Spanish and Portuguese languages. and about half of the original inhabitants killed or died of diseases brought by Europeans. Now we look here. This is Portugal, Spain, and they used to go to Africa, capture the slaves, take them to South America, and then all these areas, and again take the finished produce back to Europe. So this was a sort of cycle sort of thing, a circle sort of thing. And in the course, what were they get? What were they along with the slaves? They got diseases, they got livestock, they got grains, everything they transported along with the slaves. Diseases also were transported to new diseases, which were then not in South America or these two continents, North and South America. Because of the travel along with the slaves, diseases also, and new varieties of plants and fruits also were taken from here to here. So there was integration. Earlier some crops were exclusive to one continent. Now because of this transatlantic, this is the Atlantic Ocean, because this transatlantic travel, all these things merged, and there was not much of a difference between the plants grown here and there. Along with these slaves, these things also went. The residents of these countries today are a mix of native Indians, Spanish and Portuguese settlers, and descendants of African slaves. Now today who are there in South America? Native Indians, the original inhabitants are there. Spanish people are there. Portuguese people, settlers, Portuguese people are there. And descendants of African slaves. And then a mixed parentage. We see now many what you call the native Americans marrying Spanish people or African people. So that cultural differences are now have become very thin, and their inter-race marriages have resulted of mixed parentage. You see, these are the different kinds of people who are now living. African Indian, mulatto one, Inca in Peru, then mestizo, European, African, all these types of people are a mix of all this. Now many small tribal communities survived in deep forest while other communities came under the control of Spanish. And they had to pay taxes and to work as labor in mines and farms owned by the Spanish people. Now here comes, as part of subjugation, most of the temples were destroyed and they were all converted to Roman Catholic religion. One of the slides we discussed about God, gold. When they came, they told about the supremeness of Christianity and then forced them to convert into Roman Catholic religion. How do you convert them? First, suppose you destroy the temples, there is nothing for the local people to go and pray. At the point of gun, they were converted into Catholic Christianity. So, and some of the people who rebelled against such a domination, several small and large rebellions by native Indians in the 17th and 18th centuries were mercilessly crushed by the Spanish who had arms and ammunition. What a rebellion was there, it was mercilessly and ruthlessly killed. How these people, they killed and suppressed them, really ruthless and cunning Spaniards, they subdued one full nation. And the subsequent changes, all these things, we'll discuss in the next episode. Meanwhile, read the lesson till this point to understand it in a better way. So, don't forget to visit the website www.classroomtv.in to see subject videos of other subjects of mathematics, physics, chemistry and biology too. Have a good day.